Okay, guys, welcome to this week's BartenderHQ.com podcast, and I'm joined this week by Louie La Vella from La Vella Nightlife Marketing. Hey, Louie.
How are you guys? Thanks so much for having me.
You're very, very welcome. And this is a bit of a different kind of podcast this week, so do bear with us. It is going to be very different. It's not going to be talking about drinks recipes. It's not going to be talking about techniques for how to mix stuff or making more tips directly. This is going to be about how to get those guests through your door. So, Louie, how do you introduce yourself nowadays? When someone says to you, "What do you do?" What is your answer?
Usually, I like to say, I'm obviously in the nightclub and bar business, and my core business is in the marketing end, just like you mentioned. To be kind of funny and quirky, I like to say my clients are bars, nightclubs, venues, talent, and I make them a lot of money.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's what I do for everybody.
So what was it that got you into this space? Did you start from a different kind of marketing background, or did you start off in events, or were you a bartender yourself? How did you end up doing what you do?
Yeah, great question. I've never bartended.
Okay.
It's kind of funny to be on this show, but you're right to say that sometimes getting people through the door is going to help gain more followers, more tips. But to answer the question, I was a nightclub promoter many years ago as a teenager. So that involved things like handing out flyers in the street, helping out with the major promoters at big nightclubs, and I wanted a little bit more. So I started to run my own events. And my own mini club concerts, things like that, really learned the business and, of course, the transition between all the different marketing techniques and tools throughout the years. In between that as well, I did take marketing, and I also worked for a television station in Canada, BPM TV, which is a dance music channel. So it's very nightlife oriented. I produced and hosted there. So hosted shows where I would interview Lady Gaga and Richard Branson, Tiesto, some fantastic characters. And it kept me in that nightlife industry. It's a fantastic industry, as you guys know as well. So that's kind of where my roots came from, just building up from the promoter aspect and kind of growing into event coordination and event production. And now where I am now, where venues and, like I mentioned, talent, managers, promoters, owners will call me and ask for me to coach them on all the new best practices, how to really put on a successful event, how to be profitable, and more nowadays, how to really navigate away from the traditional ways to market into what's going on now. Obviously social media is huge. It's very frustrating to navigate sometimes if you don't know how to use it. So I do get the call or the email saying, really, tell me what to do so we can be profitable again, that kind of thing.
Cool. So it kind of it's the full gamut of all the online stuff, as well as actually promoting the event, getting the right vibe for stuff, I guess.
Absolutely. I mean, and I think you hit it right on the head there, where people buy experience more than product nowadays, and you and the bartender know that, and that's why getting more tips and things like that is really important. By some of the tips and tricks that you're kind of explaining in your podcast, it's really important. A rum and cola at bar 1 is probably the same rum and cola at bar 2. Maybe a different brand of rum, but it's the same drink, other than competing on price, right? But when you sell an experience, I think that's where the key is, and what people like to buy nowadays. They like to buy an experience. So to navigate the digital marketing and throw the proper event is where you're going to win. You don't always want to compete on price and have the cheapest drink available. You're in a downward spiral then, right?
Yeah, of course. And that just kind of, rather than adjusting just the numbers of people coming in, when you start to compete on price and you're driving your prices down, you start to get different kinds of clientele coming in, as I'm sure you're aware.
Yeah, of course. You can get problem clientele. You get the cheapskates that are really just looking for the bottom barrel price, and either they will overdrink, maybe cause problems. There's so many things that can go into that. And, sometimes the cheap nights work. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I'm not saying it's the worst thing in the world, but it's not where you really want to be. Bartenders don't get the right tips if you have 50-cent draft, which I've seen somewhere in some places in the United States. In Canada, we can't go that low. There's different laws, probably the same in the UK and in Europe. Yeah. But, you don't want to compete in that downward spiral, especially every night of the week. You want to have a happy hour. You want to do a student night. It may fit, and that's cool. And that may be a bonus night. But if your main, I guess, lifeline to staying open right now is the cheapest possible, you might be in big trouble.
Yeah, your bread and butter nights need to be
Yeah.
kind of more quality driven, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely.
But
Yeah.
the experiences and things like that. Now, the fact that you said you're selling experiences, that's made me think immediately of the John Taffer thing with his reactions management, which is his big kind of touchstone. And actually, like the way that we got kind of acquainted was during the nightclub and bar show. We were tweeting and having a little chat about that sort of thing. What is it about this experience side of things that sort of makes it so much more powerful?
I think, there's probably a couple different great answers to this. Social media has changed even in the last 6 months to a year. More consumers have more control over what they're purchasing, what they're experiencing, and how they're spreading the word. And it's very scary and dangerous on our side of the business, whether it's the venue owner, the marketer, the promoter, the bartender, to try and continue to control. Friday nights are going to be ladies' night, come out. No longer does that work because they don't care. You know what I mean? There has to be an experience built. And I think social media, because they are getting more and more used to being on their phone, scrolling through, tweeting constantly, telling everybody what they think, whether it's positive or negative feedback, they really have a lot of control in their hands. And so experience is extremely important on our end to deliver that so that they can spread the positive message, not the negative. I've had different stories where it rained in an outdoor event and we cannot control Mother Nature or the weather. And yet we got negative feedback for that because we weren't prepared for the rain,
Yeah.
And of course we were prepared for the rain. We had tenting and we had, the outdoor staging is fine in the rain. We don't care about the rain. There's many concerts in the rain. Wind might be an issue and lightning, but rain is not a big deal for the most part. But, you can get slammed negatively for things that you don't even control because they want their 15 seconds of fame. They want to be the ones to tell their friends of a positive or negative, experience. So that's why setting up the best possible conditions for the consumers to have the best possible experience is extremely important to staying alive or even coming back from the dead.
Okay. So, right, I own a bar. I don't personally own a bar, but let's make a little... Yeah, let's make a little hypothetical situation up here. I own a bar. I've just taken it on. I'm doing my first opening. How the hell do I find somebody? Hit me first with kind of your top tip for building your initial social following. You've got zero. You've got no following at all. It's a brand new bar. How the hell do you find anyone to come?
Absolutely. I think the first thing you need to know is to know who your potential customer is. And big companies do this too. We all know the words focus groups, things like that. Major corporations and major brands do this because they want to know their customer, get to know them better, and if they're predicting that this is the type of customer they want to purchase their product or come into their bar, for example, they want to make sure they're correct. So I think that's one of the biggest steps that a lot of, business owners, not just club owners and bar owners and managers and promoters, they skip that. They have maybe a little bit of a generic or shallow kind of image. Well, if we get the girls in, we'll be fine. Yeah, okay. But let's get deeper than that nowadays, right? That's one of the first things that I think that let's say as an example for yourself, I would suggest, sit down, ask your friends, spouse, whoever it is, staff members, even people in the area that used to go to the bar that you just took over, have a plan. Who are the people that you want coming in, and is that market going to accept those people, or do they even have them there?
Cool.
You know what I mean? That would be step one for sure. Know your market. So
kind of creating an avatar for the perfect customer that you want to come through the door and market to them, and then there's a kind of halo effect of people around that.
Yeah. There'll be different layers of people, you know what I mean? Like, if it is a ladies' night, you want ladies, but be specific. What do they drink? Is it Kettle One, Grey Goose? Do they like tequila? Well, what brand of tequila? What do they wear? Is it Coach? Or is it, Benetton? What is it? Who are these people? Do you know what I mean? And what kind of music do they like specifically? Is it dance music? Well, who? Is it Martin Garrix or Deadmau5 or Tiesto? Or, do you know what I mean? Like, there's different genres. And if you can outline all those people, it gives you as a marketing department a lot of firepower. And that kind of brings me into step two, which is how you're going to start the following. Even if you have a brand new bar and you have 0 fans on Facebook now and 0 followers because it's brand new, first of all, give yourself some time. Don't say, everybody, we're opening 2 days from now. Give yourself some time. The more time you have, the better it's going to be, obviously, to spread the word. Excuse me. But the beauty of some of the tools on social media right now is you don't need to have any followers to target your people.
Yeah.
So as an example, and some of your viewers, listeners, and if anybody is reading maybe excerpts from this, you can have 0 fans on your Facebook page and start the new brand, and you're going to open 30 days from now. But you can go and target those specific people on Facebook using Facebook ads. And I know a lot of people who have used Facebook, and when it was easy to use, you would post your event, people would come running in, and that has changed, and now it sucks to everybody because it doesn't work. That's because it's changed, and it's no fault of anybody's. 2 years ago, I liked X amount of pages. Now I like double or triple the pages. That's just, you're competing in the newsfeed, right? That's just how it is.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with spending money to acquire customers. Businesses do it every day. So for people to say, Facebook or Twitter or Instagram, they all suck now because they don't work, it's because probably you've lost touch in how it works. And you're not using it properly. And it used to be free, and now it's not free, so you get angry at that. You just got to look past that, because that is where everybody's playing. If you walk down the street, go to the cafe, the bars, they're on their phones, and they are not, just looking at the apps they have. They're actually on social media constantly or messaging each other. That's where they're playing. So we need to play there too. So with that said, even if I had 0 followers or 0 fans, you can go and target those people. So if you're opening a pub and it's going to have, rock cover bands, now that you have your avatar, when you build an ad to promote that, you will have all that information. And you can actually target people from your postal code or zip code in those cities, surrounding cities, whatever you think that your market's going to be, that actually like cover bands, Patron tequila, you know what I mean? That Heineken beer, whatever you know that your avatar is going to be. And you can spend $10, $50, $100 a day, whatever you want on those advertisements, and your post will show as a sponsored post to 100,000 people or 50,000 people, even if you have 0 fans. So it's pretty exciting that you can do that.
Yeah, that's really cool. Now, the second thing is, for example, if you've got a Facebook page that has got quite a large following, should I be spending my entire day posting interesting pictures of cats? Or should there be something a little bit more targeted at the people that I'm...
There was a trick, because when Facebook changes their algorithms, I feel daily. So there was a little bit of a trick probably a year ago that actually worked, where people, you would trick the reach, because people liked to see the cat memes and things like that. Excuse me. So when you were posting those funny things, people would engage with your page, and that would tell the algorithm that they like your brand.
Yeah.
So now when you posted the Friday Night Ladies Night post, that would, get higher reach. It no longer works, if not at all. It doesn't work well at all.
Right.
You're right. Not only does it kind of not connect with the customer anyways, and it could piss them off that you're just flooding their feed with the same cat memes or viral videos that somebody else is sharing anyways. But it doesn't really work for the reach anyways. I find that every platform excuse me, has different amounts that you need to be posting. It sounds like Twitter and Instagram, you can do it constantly. Facebook, 2 to 4 times seem to be working well in the nightlife industry, that kind of idea. I would have context to it, absolutely. So I would share things that have context. So I mean, if the cat meme has something to do with the cat DJing, you know what I mean? That may fit well because it kind of fits, let's say, your nightclub brand. You know what I mean? That sort of thing, that may fit. But if you're just flooding it with sort of junk, people will eventually just stop following your brand. They might click on follow. They don't want to see anything from you anymore because it's fluff at that point.
Yeah, of course.
And the trick of the reach no longer works, if at all. It doesn't work well. So there's no use doing that and being on there constantly, just wasting your man hours and your time, right?
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that we use, because I work with an 80s club over here in the UK that my partner runs, and we kind of hit up the 80s toys kind of websites, and it's kind of just connecting with that nostalgia kind of thing, so that people are like, oh yeah, I remember that thing. So, and then they're kind of collecting, and they're hitting up the page, and that seems to work quite nicely. Is that the sort of thing that would work for you? And then you're popping in the occasional promotional, or should it be promotional more often, or?
No, I like that plan. I find that if you're doing promotional too often, you're almost like the magazine that has all ads. If people would stop looking at that magazine, there's no good content because all you're doing is posting, your Thursday, your Friday, your Saturday. I've had some clients when we first started, they only had a Saturday going, and if you scroll through their Facebook page, it was just that same Saturday flyer over and over and over again, and it was obviously not effective. But something like that, the nostalgia and the retro toys fits the brand and the bar.
Yeah.
So it's actually a very smart idea, and it's giving some content outside of just promotional. They already know about the bar, and they probably are familiar with whatever nights you have on that are retro feeling. So when you're doing these kind of things, you almost don't even have to, under that same text, say, and don't forget Friday nights. You can here and there, but what you're doing is, and your partner's doing, being very smart like that, is causing top of mind awareness. And that's
Cool.
reminding them that you guys are open, obviously, and don't forget about us, and make your decisions and your plans to come out over here. And that's helping a lot. It's a smart move.
Cool. So for bartenders that are working in a bar or a nightclub that they're looking to kind of expand their role a bit, do you think that taking on responsibility for the social media side of things and helping to promote their bar is something that is a good idea for a bartender to be taken care of during the week, maybe on the quieter days? Or should bars have someone that's 100% committed to running a social media kind of campaign?
I think it's a blend of both. I feel like any business needs to take their marketing very seriously. And maybe the bartender or a couple bartenders can actually fill that role. You know what I mean? There's nothing wrong. It's not like the bartenders don't know the role, but you're right. They might be busy doing other things. They may not want to do that constantly. They may want to help a little bit, but not be the full-time guy, which is fine too. And I think any club owner or manager or promoter needs to look at their marketing and be serious about it. A lot of them, it was easier back in the day when you can write a check to radio and spend $2,000 or $1,000 or pounds over there, and radio they'll even make the ad for you. You don't even have to produce the ad, waste it, and people just kept coming in. It was easy, and it may have caused a little bit of laziness on the marketing aspect. Even promoters would come in and say, "Look, let me take care of your Friday night. I have a huge list, and I'll just bring my following here." And again, it was very good. The promoters made their money at the door. Bartenders made great tips. The nights were full, and the owners can just hopefully just count their money and not have to worry about the ads or hiring the DJ, whatever. And again, it may have caused some laziness, right? It was good times. All that shifted. We got the rug pulled out from under us. Promoters were not as effective if they didn't know the new styles of marketing. Radio became ineffective, or at least the ROI wasn't there. They may have tried to hold on to their 30-second rates and still, very high, but, people weren't coming in. You have Spotify now, Apple's, new music. You have the iPods and things like that. So there's a lot of segmentation on, where the ears and the eyeballs are. So they have to take their bar very serious, especially the marketing aspects. So with that said, yeah, absolutely, they should have a full-time person doing it, or an agency or something that's really strong and can commit to that. And there's nothing wrong with having the bartender or a promoter or a manager doing it as well. It is time. The nice thing about having a bartender or a manager or someone in-house is you understand your own brand. A lot of times I get phone calls and venue clients want me to actually do the social media for them. And I try and stop them. It's always nice to charge them a good chunk every week and make money, but I'm not greedy that way. I want them to succeed, right?
Yeah,
and the thing is, I can have clients around the world, doing things like this, Skype and whatnot, and I find much more success for the venues when I'm teaching them what to do so they can do it. Teaching them how to fish, so to speak.
Yeah, of course.
Because I'm not there. I don't get the brand maybe, or I don't understand the market as well as they do. And the big thing right now is micro moments. So the little behind the scenes, or the little thing, and this is where a bartender can really succeed, not only for the venue, but for themselves as their own brand. It's important to be your own brand, whether you're a DJ or a bartender. People will come see you. They'll want to take pictures with you as a bartender, and you get more tips, right? So there's nothing wrong with that. And those little micro moments all week long are key. And that adds to the experience. It adds to you as a brand or a character. And so it's really important to have somebody in-house do it as well. I'd hate to ruin other people's businesses by saying not to hire social media companies, because there are very good ones out there. But I think it's becoming more and more effective to teach. You know what I mean? To teach the people that are in-house exactly what to do it really well, and you succeed on your own. So work with me for a month as opposed to having to hire me every single week for the rest of your life. Sure, I'm effective and I can manage the ads really well, but there's that little piece that I still need you to take care of, because you know your brand. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
you're there, and you get the speak. How your character should be, that kind of things. And every social media company can't do that.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, in my opinion. So
cool. So I mean, I know that your kind of your main your mainstay of your business is working directly with the bars and things. Do you do anything with the liquor brands, or have you worked with those in the past, or is that not kind of your bag?
Yeah, lightly so far,
Hmm.
especially if they've been involved sponsorship wise with some of the events that I've run. I've had a few major brands approach me on, again, either taking care of their social media marketing themselves or teaching their team best practices, and those deals are still on the table and need to be negotiated. But absolutely, it's not just running an event, Friday night events for clubs or teaching just club owners and promoters. The blueprints and the tools that work can translate to many different businesses or different aspects of our business. Like I just mentioned, even bartenders, you can use some of these, tools and tips and best practices to increase your own brand awareness, and have people come and say, oh, there's that famous bartender I always see on Instagram. Do you know what I mean? And it
Yeah,
really
yeah.
helps. It'll help the bar, obviously, because they'll come see you, but it helps you get more tips because you're that guy that they like to see. And when you're adding all those little micro moments and you're really engaging constantly, you're building yourself as a brand.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
absolutely, large liquor beverage brands could fit as well, and it's absolutely something that I can touch upon too.
Awesome. Yeah, because I mean, bartenders are essentially rock stars that didn't bother learning an
Yeah,
instrument.
there you go. Yeah,
Uh,
absolutely. And you might as well play that role and build up that brand. There's nothing wrong with doing that. And it's got to be a little bit more than just the, you're there and it's not busy yet and you're tweeting, "Hey, come see me. I'm at bar 2." You know what I mean,
mm,
on your phone. That's just too generic. There's
yeah.
got to be something more fun. There's got to be some behind the scenes things, that you could be posting, or you know what I mean? Create your own meme. Take a picture of
Yeah, of
yourself,
course.
and there's so many apps you can use. I know it's a lot of work sometimes because there's so many apps. Like Instagram and Twitter and Snapchat now, and of course Facebook, and now there's Periscope and Meerkat, which are live streaming apps, which they're awesome in our industry. There's nothing wrong with picking a couple. You don't have to do them all and go nuts over your time, but you pick a few that you dominate at, and it's going to help.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we've just started playing around with Periscope a little bit at the Flair Club
Oh yeah,
because we've got on a Sunday night we meet up. There's a bunch of us who just get together, learn some new moves,
nice.
share moves with each other, and we just Periscope a bit of that live and have a chat with people. And it's really good fun. But yeah, I mean, if you were to have like 5 top tips, kind of fairly generic, I guess,
Yeah.
that could be used for either bars or for bartenders or whatever. It doesn't matter if it's something you've already covered, but the
Yeah.
5 things that you would kind of go, right, start with this, and then when you're ready to move up to the big leagues, obviously get in touch with you.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we covered number one, which was knowing your market and
Okay.
create that avatar. And even if it's bartenders, you would know who are going to be your ideal customer that come to you. Somebody who's a bottle service waitress is going to have a different customer than who's at a pub and is a bartender, right?
Hmm.
So I think knowing who your clientele is and how to speak to them and how to schmooze them up, things like that, is going to be really important. And that's for anything from a bartender all the way up to the club owner that really wants people in. Second tip is know your marketing objective plan. You know what I mean? Again, if it's a bartender, you want more tips and you want to bring in more people to your particular bar and engage with them. If it's a venue, you definitely want more people on your Friday night, Wednesday night, Saturday night. So have a plan though. What are they coming for? That kind of idea. Third tip is create some sort of atmosphere or experiences or promotions that are going to work. And it could be as generic as birthday special. I've had some
Hmm.
major successes with bringing out your girls or your guys to our place or our booth or our bar for a birthday special,
Okay.
which is huge. There's nothing wrong with creating those promotions, bachelorettes, hen parties, stag and does, that kind of thing. Bring them out. Those promotions work well. So definitely utilize those. And then, what are we on step 4 now?
Yeah, 4.
I
Let's
think
go.
4, utilize and execute the marketing properly. And again, like I mentioned earlier, there's nothing wrong with spending some money. Use those and use some targeted ads.
Hmm.
You're a bartender, you want to spend $5 a day on ads, and in the week that's $35. Well, that could equate how much more in tips. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? And if you're a venue, you spend a few $100s
Yeah.
easily. You used to do that with promoters and printing up flyers and posters and radio. There's nothing wrong with spending a few $100s and testing what works and then feeding the meter when it does. Use your targeted ads. So again, if we talk about the birthday promotion, you can actually target, females that are 21 to 30 in my zip code or postal code that are having a birthday this week.
Yeah.
And as their birthday passes, they stop seeing your ad. You can use that and have that target, right?
That's really cool. I like
it's
that
really,
a lot.
really cool. And same with bachelorettes or, the hen parties or friends of. You can create a post that's just friends of, the bachelorette or the person who just got engaged. Take the girls out to my pub on Friday night and I'll give you free appetizers or whatever the promotion is. This is where you execute that promotion, right? And again, just posting that on your Facebook page, even if you have 10,000 people, what are the odds of those 10,000 people now are still engaged with your brand or still care about you and are having an actual birthday?
Exactly.
And then out of the 10,000, only 400 people see it. So how many out of those 400 are actually engaged? You're down to really small ratios and small percentages.
Because the reach is is it about 5% or something on a page-ish, if you're lucky?
Yeah, I've heard 1 or 2 is an average now. I think 5 can be fantastic, and that's not good enough for me.
Yeah.
So if you use targeted ads, you can target. If you even in your area, you might have 7,000 people that are going to see your ad every day. That are actually having a birthday. So you can spend some money, and that can translate anything from the bartender up, right?
Yeah.
And in number 5, I would say use those micro moments, those behind the scenes type of things, those constant updates. Give yourself a brand or a character, and make sure you re-engage. These are, that is a big reason why I've stopped using, the automatic posting sites, the Hootsuites and Buffer apps, things like that. They're amazing. They're fantastic. And I've used them in certain situations, if I have a generic kind of blast to do. But when I start scheduling all my posts, I'm not there to watch them. I'm not there to re-engage, that kind of idea.
Yeah.
So it could get dangerous. I'm not saying they're terrible. I mean, they're fantastic apps. But it could get dangerous if, again, you go into this is the next lazy situation.
Right? They're useful in their place, but you've also got to be there to engage with people. Yeah. They're good for starting a conversation, maybe.
And something could happen on the fly, and you may not be in the mindset to utilize it. If you are unloading a keg and it falls and it starts dumping everywhere, you may think hilariously, let's take a picture and throw it on Instagram saying, we need 1,000 people and 1,000 straws to clean up this mess. And it could be funny, and it could just engage your brand because just drop the keg. And again, that's a micro moment, and that's also something that's going to engage people that are going to go haha, and there's your your little funny engagement that's going to increase reach and things. That could be happening constantly every single day, right? But if you're scheduling those things, it could be too rigid, or you could be missing out on that mindset to actually, do you know what I mean? To kind of be on top of your brand. That's where we are now with the psychology of social media. So you don't want to miss those things.
No, that's really cool. So thanks for that top 5. Louie, if people want to connect with you, if they want to use your services or find out more about them, where are they going?
Yeah, I mean, you can definitely follow me on all the social medias, and that's the Louie La Vella, all one word, and that's on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter, Periscope, all of them. So @ Louie La Vella, and you can probably pop the proper spelling underneath here.
No problems. I'll pop that on the screen.
Yeah, and of course, I have a great blog. I post a lot of these cool tools that I find out, or Facebook changes an algorithm on us again. I'll usually talk about it and throw it on there. And again, that's louielavella.com. And right from there, you can contact me as well and send me an email, ask questions. I have no problems getting on the phone, no charge, just chatting with people, giving a little bit of help. And if it's something that people really want to pursue and say, hey, can we put something together and actually utilize my services? Absolutely, fantastic. If not, I hope I can spread some tips anyways and help out, right?
Cool, that's awesome. Well, thank you so much for spending your time with us, and hopefully, if you guys really enjoyed this episode, then let me know in the comments. Let me know on Twitter @BartenderHQ, and obviously tweet in Louie as well. And we'll get Louie back on, and I'll try and pick his brain and get some more freebies out of him before you take the plunge and get the full Louie service. Louie, thank you so much for joining me this week, buddy.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely superb to have you on the show. And guys, join us next week for the next Bartender HQ podcast.
Thank you, guys. Take care.
So guys, that's it for this week's podcast. If you've got any questions for Louie, you can obviously tweet him directly, or you can actually get in touch through the Bartender HQ website at bartenderhq.com/voice message. Leave us a voicemail for him, and I will either pass them directly on to him, or we'll try and get him back for an extra show to answer some of your questions. Now, I'm not going to go through all the normal social media stuff, but you know where it is. Come and find us. join us and don't miss next week's show. We have a special announcement. It's Flair related and it's for a big project that's going to run for quite a while. If you're a member of the bartender community on Facebook, you will already have had a little bit of a preview of this, but next week is the full announcement, so do not miss it. I want you guys to all be involved. So for this week, my name's David Eden-Sangwell for the BartenderHQ.com podcast, and I'll see you guys again next week.